Hello everyone, my name is ExxotikGaming, and welcome back to a very different Pixel Gun 3D video. Today I will be telling you all a story, a scary story, a creepypasta if you will. This is a story about a boy, 13 years old, living in a small town just outside of South Bend, Indiana, who had a very misfortunate turn of events. We can relate to him in that he is, in one way, very similar to us. He played Pixel Gun 3D as well. This video explains the events of this former Pixel Gun 3D player, username XVJosephVX, leading up to his demise. In other words, he may have died playing Pixel Gun 3D. Now before we begin this video, this may potentially be a new series on my channel. I can find stories like this one and tell them to you all in different videos. If you want me to make a scary story series for Pixel Gun 3D, please leave a like down below. Thank you. But for now, let's get back to the story, and let's begin. The year was 2014. The day was November 6th. It was a dreary, foggy autumn afternoon. A cold, whistling wind was blowing through the tops of the trees, rustling the leaves loose, leaving thousands of brown leaves all over the ground. Winter was fast approaching, and the small town in northeast Indiana was, for the most part, prepared. Firewood was being sold at local gas stations, and hot chocolate was on everyone's menu at the local Denny's. This is where we finally meet our player, XVJosephVX. We'll call him Joseph. Joseph was a Pixel Gun 3D veteran. He played the game ever since October 2013, before weapons like the prototype and laser minigun ever existed. Joseph was addicted to the game, coming home from school and playing it from 4:00 p.m. until his bedtime. He always went into team deathmatches in Heaven Garden and King of the Hill, his favorite map, with his friends Midnight Shadow 02 and Pro Gamer Dude. Now, this cold autumn afternoon was like any other for Joseph. He was playing Pixel Gun 3D instead of going outside, and that turned out to be the biggest mistake of his entire life. Had he taken a break from Pixel Gun, he may have been here to tell his tale. It was 7:15 p.m. Joseph had already been playing Pixel Gun for several hours. He was trying to attempt a 12-hour gameplay streak with his friends Midnight Shadow and Pro Gamer Dude. Unfortunately, this would be stopped short. His friends had a lot of homework to do, and they decided to log off. Not demoralized by this, Joseph decided to continue gaming on. He played and played, and before he knew it, he had played for 8 hours straight. He started playing at 3:45 p.m., and it was already 15 minutes to midnight. When he glanced at the clock, he realized this, and he knew he had school the next day, yet he still decided to play some more. He would not lose his team fight in D-Day. However, finishing that D-Day match would not be what ended up happening to Joseph that fateful day, because someone else had different plans. When Joseph looked back from the clock, he noticed his phone had a new notification, a new message, from a number that was unknown. He tapped on it, curious as to why someone would message him this late at night. He was confused with what he saw. When viewing the message, all Joseph saw was Russian text, that of which read, Putoransky Gosudarstvenny Prirodny Zapovednik, followed by, Poiski Vinaydete Yego. Joseph copied this text and put it into Google Translate, and what appeared was the name of a remote national park in northern Siberia in Russia, and the next sentence read, Search, and you will find it. To be fair, this got Joseph worried. He was confused and concerned. He didn't know what to make of the message. As the message suggested, however, Joseph finally decided to search. He opened up Google Maps and began scrolling through the vast area of the remote national park, and eventually, an hour into searching north, south, east, and west, he stumbled across something incredible. In a valley along the northern slopes of this mountainous region, he found what appeared to be computer code programmed into the app. This was binary, a language used by computers consisting of ones and zeros, and it seemed as if it was photoshopped onto his map. He didn't know why it was like this. No one else had his phone before him. Dreading what could happen, Joseph copied this text over to a website on his computer that translates binary to English, and he was shocked by what he found. What translated was the following: "Open up Pixel Gun on your phone." At this point, Joseph was worried. Before this point, perhaps the message he got in Russian was an error and was not meant to be sent to him, but now seeing a secondary message linked with Pixel Gun, he knew whoever was sending messages to him knew who he was. Joseph opened up his app, and above the Battle Now button, a new button had appeared. All it said was Enter. Being the curious person that he was, Joseph touched this button, and he was placed in a dimly lit map in Pixel Gun that doesn't exist in the normal game. Perhaps it looked somewhat like a large, dark box, though he could see a dark figure in the distance. Having reasonable common sense, Joseph understood this was just a video game, so whatever he witnessed inside the game couldn't be out of it, right? Well, Joseph decided to move closer towards this figure until he came quite close. This was a completely black figure, void of any face and definition in its body. He couldn't tell if this was a human or something else. Whoever the character was, it stayed motionless. It did not move. Joseph was confused, but out of nowhere, text started appearing in the chat. This unknown player started typing in a language most people wouldn't be able to understand. However, Joseph was an exception, and it made it that much creepier. See, Joseph was a history buff. During his time at school, when he couldn't use his phone to play Pixel Gun 3D, he would study Egypt's ancient language known as Coptic. This is an extinct language, and no one is fluent in it in this world. Joseph has been trying to become the first. When viewing the text in the chats, Joseph understood what that unknown player was saying, and what it said was, "Your mother is suffering. Do not go downstairs." All of a sudden, his phone screen turned black, and for a split second, two white objects, which almost looked like eyes, flashed on the screen. Then, Joseph heard a yell. It was his mother's voice. It came from downstairs from his parents' bedroom. Forgetting what the unknown player had said, and what may be the biggest mistake of Joseph's life, he decided to head downstairs to see what was wrong. Slowly, he creeped down the wooden stairs to the bottom floor where his parents' bedroom was. The door was about a quarter of the way open, which was unusual. His parents always slept with the door closed. Joseph went forward towards the door and slowly opened it up. He heard sharp breathing, so he flashed on the lights. He was shocked. His father was gone, nowhere in sight. What else came into view was horrifying. His mother was lying there, in bed, trembling, with a deep wound in her stomach. She was breathing sharply and losing consciousness due to lack of blood. It appeared whatever hurt her punctured her lungs, and she would not live much longer. She struggled to stay alive and saw her son standing there in the doorway. She motioned for him to come towards her, and with her dying breaths, she told Joseph this: "They took your father. Get out while you can." And then, she was no more. Joseph was shocked. He couldn't fully understand what was going on. He didn't know what to do, so he sat there, crying, trying to see if his mother was still alive. She would not come back. And Joseph, once again, made a huge mistake. For if he had left when she told him, he may have gotten out of there without fail. But eventually, when Joseph finally gathered enough courage to leave, it was too late. He turned to the door, but the lights went out. He felt different. A warm liquid was running down his arm, and then everything happened at the same time. The door slammed shut. The two evil white eyes reappeared, this time in real life, only a few feet in front of Joseph, and then he disappeared, never to be heard from again. Joseph didn't die, but what happened? No one knows. Several days later, neighbors discovered his mother still lying in her bed, and they sent a search party out for him and his father. Nearly 4 years later, they were never found, but many still suspect Joseph and his father are still out there, somewhere. I now ask you, what became of X v Joseph v X? The world may never know.